Good morning, and we are live. Man, I hope your holidays are going good. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas because I will not be here tomorrow for Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, Hanukkah, whatever, however you celebrate the winter solstice. I hope it is a wonderful time for you and your family. Let's get right at it. We got a lot to talk about. Let's dig into it. Well, it has not been a good time for sex offenders. It really just has not. And I got to tell you, even though this hasn't been completely adjudicated yet, yeah, it's still not looking good. It's still not looking good. Russell Brand has been hit with two more counts of rape and sexual assault. That brings the total to seven counts so far. So yeah, not a good day for the sex offenders in any way, shape, or form. Uh, we've talked about this before. We've talked about, yeah, the Trump regime's going to do a lot of stuff. They're going to do a lot of shitty stuff. They just are. But they're incompetent as hell. So we will beat them. I mean, it's bullshit that we have to deal with everything that we have to deal with. But yeah, it is, we're going to be okay. We're going to win this. We're going to come out okay. People, I've been trying to encourage people that are like, oh man, they're not going to let us vote. Well, look, we've been voting, we've been winning. People have been talking about, well, they're never going to release the Epstein documents. I'm like, I'm sure they're going to try to redact it. And then sure enough, that's what they did. They redacted the hell out of it. But again, they're incompetent. They're stupid. We will win this. And people have been going a couple routes. One, the way they redacted it, they just simply took the documents and then used a graphics program to put black blocks over it, which does not really conceal the text that's behind it. And people have figured out how to easily go into Photoshop and just remove the black blocks. I mean, it's been just nothing but ham-handed incompetence over and over and over again. And, this is what I was talking about. I'll touch on it again because I know I've touched on it before, and I touched on it on the last show. It didn't matter which way. It is what it is. It didn't matter which way they went with this. Trying to conceal it just made it worse. All of this is going to come out, and by simply just trying to hide it, it just makes it even worse for them. The political fallout, I mean, MAGA has no place to hide in any of this. And man, it is going to do it. I'm just going to touch on a couple of the documents. Dick Olawinner says, Merry Christmas, Texas Paul. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. There has been just so much that has come out, and they knew it was going to be bad. They really knew it was going to be bad because the Department of Justice released this nonsense to begin with. Let me read this statement to you real quick. The Department of Justice has officially released nearly 30,000 more pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalistic claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. Nevertheless, out of our commitment to the law and transparency, the DOJ is releasing these documents with legally required protections for Epstein's victims. I don't know who's writing this crap, but they are in a boatload of trouble. They are. It's more than just you're going to get fired, because they've come out and made statements that are just patently untrue. In the midterms, when we take back Congress, we're actually going to learn the name of the idiot over at the DOJ that's writing these releases. Stick with me. I'll explain to you what I'm talking about. But before we do, we're building a community here, and the more information you have, more good information you have, the better off we are. And I rely on the Bulwark. Whenever there's a story, I like to go back and read it. They do, just outstanding journalism. They do an amazing job. And if you want a great follow, this is Sarah Longwell. She is one of the editors over at the Bulwark. She's available over on Blue Sky. One second. And she's just been killing it. This is Sarah Longwell. She has just been killing it. Her and Midas and so many others have been going through these documents. And you'll notice, if you follow me on social media, I haven't been talking about a lot of these documents because, look, folks, I tell you all the time, I'm not one of these people that pretend. There's way too many people that do what I do. I'm a commentator. I will read what the work product that journalists put out, and I will come up with summaries. I will come up with my own opinions on them, but I am not a journalist. Never have pretended to be. I have the utmost respect for journalists. It is as important a professional. It is a profession that is just as refined and developed as any out there. And too many people pretend to be journalists. And I also try to steer away from that term citizen journalist, because that's usually just somebody that's sitting there looking at shit on the internet that just, so yeah. Folks, Sarah Longwell, she is a journalist. She is somebody that's doing an amazing job with this stuff, and just breaking each page that comes out that's important. She breaks them down one after the other, and she is just doing an amazing job of it. She's a good follow, folks. Kit B08 says, Merry Christmas, Texas Paul and Mrs. Texas Paul. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you for supporting the show. JW Wilmink, thank you for being. Is that correct? Wilmink? Is that correct? Wilmink? Merry Christmas to you and your family and friends. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, JW, for being here. McBastage, I'm calling malicious compliance. I think someone in the DOJ intentionally effed up. You think somebody's setting them up to fail, huh? I don't know. Could be. That's why I say we're in the very beginning of this, folks. And so many people have been so, I get it. There's a lot of people that are just venting off. I'm afraid this is going to happen, or I'm afraid that's going to happen. But the problem is they go on social media and they say it like they're an expert, like they've got something. I'm telling you, folks, this dish has just started to cook. It is in its infancy. And I more and more is coming out. Talking about Sarah Longwell, let me go back to her for just a second. It's things like this. They're coming out, but you have to marinate on them. You have to, to find what you're looking at that's important. It's like this. This seems pretty innocuous. This seems pretty innocuous. But it proves something. It absolutely proves something. Says I've been this memo talks about says I'll read it to you. I'm not going to read them all to you. There's several of them. I'll summarize most of them, but this is important. I hope you're well. I'm helping out with the responsiveness review for the WBTW, and I have been looking through Steve Bannon's iPhone 7 on Celebrite. Celebrite is a service that law enforcement uses to when they want to dig into your phone. It's a service that law enforcement uses basically to dig through your electronics. As I was going through the images from that phone, I found an image of Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell on Bannon's phone. See screenshot from Celebrate attached. Okay. Why is this redacted? Now, the memo in of itself isn't that important. I was looking at Steve Bannon's phone and I found a picture. Why is this picture redacted? There's not a minor in this picture. I mean, this is the kind of thing that when you look at it at first, it's like, that's not important. But this is 100% evidence for you that no, they're not complying with the law. They're not complying with what Congress demanded. They just took a picture that was just Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell and redacted it. There's no excuse for it. There's no acceptable excuse for why they did that. There isn't a victim. Ghislaine Maxwell is convicted. Why would that be redacted? Other than they're just trying to not comply with the law and not show you anything that involves Donald Trump. And that is the kind of thing that it seems small, it seems innocuous, but trust me, when the Democrats have control of the committees, that is something that's going to come up. That is the kind of thing you're going to see over and over and over again. They're going to hold up a picture before Pam Bondi. And why is this? Explain to us why this was redacted. What were the thoughts behind it? And pretty please perjure yourself, because we're going to subpoena your phone records. You know, I mean, it is a much bigger deal than it seems. But a lot of that has come out. It is gross. I mean, it is really gross stuff. A lot of them come from intake memos. A lot of it comes from intake memos like these. And again, I'm not going to read them all. I just summarize. This is harsh, man. This is from a limo driver that picked up Trump and ended up contacting the FBI and talking about what he overheard. He said he threatened, he was at the point where the stuff he was hearing coming out of the back seat, he was overhearing a phone conversation, and the stuff that he was hearing out of the back seat made him want to pull the limo over and kick Trump out. And several people have done a great job of like I said, a lot of journalists have been going through and blowing these things up so that they're easier to read. But you see the highlights there. Blank noted Trump continuously stated the name Jeffrey while on the phone and made references to, quote, abusing some girl, unquote. Was unsure who was talking to, nor who he was referencing, as Blank talked about his time meeting Donald Trump. Blank immediately, demeanor went stone cold, unquote, as Blank stated, quote, he raped me, unquote. Now, look, folks, this stuff is sickening. It really is. It is sickening. It is. It's exactly what we were hoping to get out of the Epstein files. Full disclosure, just full disclosure. But we do have to be careful. We do have to say, look, this is testimony. This is not. This has not been through a trial. No one's been found guilty here. These are just memos of what people said. Period. That's all it is. Keep that in mind as we discuss these. Jeanette, 7981. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the show. I'm truly grateful. Jeremy Breeden in the house. Thank you for Merry Christmas. Jeremy wishes Merry Christmas to all. It is important that you keep that in mind, folks. These are not trial documents. This is investigative material, and that's it. Okay? So just keep that in mind. That's where the journalism, the journalist's work comes into play. But I got to tell you, the screams out of the right about, oh, this is fake, or this isn't real, or this is not playing well, because you have to ask yourself, okay, this is unsuborned testimony. This is a guy. I mean, just a limo driver saying, look, this is what I overheard, and it grossed me out. It kind of lends credence to what they're saying. So yeah, for the folks that are out there that are stressing, that are worried, we're not going to find out. We're not going to hear what's going on. Oh no, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And people have been doing an amazing job. A lot of this redacted material, they're from previous trials that are concluded. And they're taking the old information that they had available, and they're matching up the pages, so we get unredacted pages. This is going to come out. And the more they cover it up, the guiltier and the worse it looks. Glenn Kaneko, Park Rose Permaculture, posted that some people have figured out a way to unredact redacted printed words. Not sure if they were able to do photos too. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. They go into Photoshop and they do a copy and paste. When they do a copy and paste of text, the boxes don't carry over. Because what they did was instead, they're so stupid, they're so incompetent that they did not actually redact the information. They simply put a box over it. So digitally, you have the original document that's still there with just an element. They call them elements. A shape is all it is, just stuck over the text. So when you copy and paste the text, the box doesn't come with it. I mean, you can't get more incompetent than that. Rena Scott 7631 says, I just watched a post from Ben Mycelis. He said these files are now in the millions. That is a lot of information on a closed, unsolved case. Yeah, because we're finding out there were 10 co-conspirators that were never charged with Epstein. There is so much that's going to come out, and they really screwed this up politically. Thank God, because I want you to think about that volume of documents. This is going to be a drip, 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 drip. Oh, by the way, we opened. And folks, if this doesn't scream guilty, I don't know what does. They did that thing. Many of you may have heard of this before. It's what guilty corporations do when they're being sued, and they're being sued by somebody that doesn't have a lot of resources. They bury people in documents. So they release what they're required to release, but they do it in no specific order. They jumble everything up so that unrelated things are boxed with each other. You're one minute you're reading a packet of paperwork from one case, and then the next packet is from another case, and then the next packet. That is the most guilty, screaming thing you could possibly do. Nothing says I'm trying to hide everything like I intentionally shuffled the cards so that you couldn't read them. Stephen Leach, thank you for being here. Stephen Leach, 1410. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. I hope you folks are having wonderful holidays. I really do. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday. This is just, to me, and maybe I'm making too much about this. Y'all tell me. It's a community show. It's Christmas Eve, folks. Y'all tell me. This is the kind of thing that's just making me just relax. You know, I always knew we were going to win. I always knew we were going to get this information released, but it's things like Bill Clinton saying, release it all. Release it all. Don't protect me. Release every bit of information you have on me, DOJ. Release it all. That's the kind of thing that, you know, politically, I know we're going to win. Because when you have the Trump regime sitting there literally taking and shuffling this stuff, which is, again, stupid. Not only does it make you look even more guilty, but it slows the release of this information to a drip, 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 drip. It will be every week you'll get a new something that somebody found, and then they'll tie it back to something else. And it's just, this is the absolute dumbest possible way, but thank God they're incompetent. Richie for Congress, Ohio, staying on messages, Mike, as Mike Ruley implodes. Glad you're here, brother. Glad you're here. Glad you are here. Thank you for supporting the show. K-Walk 230, here's a possibility. Maybe the person putting a black box over the text wanted people to find it. You can also put it into any text editor like Word. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people have said that. That's pure speculation. Never know. May be intentional stupidity. Jordan B. Miller in the house. Out of Trump's thousands of defamation lawsuits, not one of his sexual perversions. Not yet. Not yet. E.T. in the future, every time they talk about someone getting a sweetheart deal, just reply with, you mean like Jeffrey Epstein did? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Santista 211. Hello, Texas Paul. It's time for the files to come out once and for all and unredacted other than the victims. Yep. And that's where we're going after the midterms. Because you've got stuff like this. This is the kind of thing. This is the kind of fuel that hits the fire. I know y'all have seen this. It's the postcard that Jeffrey Epstein sent Larry Nassar. If you don't know who Larry Nassar is, he was the doctor that worked on the U.S. Olympic Committee that was abusing gymnasts for years and years and years. He is still alive. He is still in prison. This is the postcard that Jeffrey sent him. And it is gross. It is just disgusting. It says, Dear LN, short for Larry Nassar. As you know by now, I have taken the short route home, aka he killed himself. So we've got confirmation there that he actually killed himself. Good luck. We shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies. And the hope that they reach their full potential. Our president also shares our love of young nubile girls. When a beauty walked by, he loved to grab snatch. Whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein. Now, when I was talking earlier about the DOJ guy that's going to get really screwed, the DOJ comes out and says, "Oh no, this is false. The FBI confirms it." No, the FBI has confirmed shit. In fact, when asked about it, the FBI went, talk to the DOJ. Nope. If the FBI, this same idiot at the DOJ that's putting out this bullshit put out a statement that said, "Oh, that's false. That's a fake. That's fake. That's not from Jeffrey Epstein." You know how you know? Because the postmark on it is after Jeffrey Epstein died, and it went through Virginia. He was in New York. Really, Scooter? Now I realize MAGA is stupid as hell, but most of us on the left we've actually got working brain cells. And we know that the fact that it was postmarked after Jeffrey Epstein's death means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because we know how long it takes to get mail out of a prison. And we actually know why it would be postmarked in Virginia. It would actually seem more fake if it was postmarked out of New York. Because you see, they don't just let prisoners willy-nilly mail shit. That is a privilege you do not have in prison. No, the Bureau of Prisons, they have vendors like Viatech and Smart Communication and all of these companies that process mail. And they send them down to Virginia to go sit in a building where they route through each one to make sure there isn't contraband in any of it. So that when it hits the mail system, the actual U.S. mail system, it's coming out of Virginia. It actually confirms that this came out of the prison. And this postcard actually came back to the prison. No. I don't believe that it's fake. And I don't believe the FBI confirmed it because the FBI would actually confirm it. They wouldn't say, no, we ain't got nothing to say about this. Ask the DOJ. Sorry about that slurping. I thought I'd muted. Mike Daly, the dim, Santa's gift, the Epstein files, Santa's message, my reindeer and I can't clean this up. Y'all need to help. Vote. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and thanks for your work. No, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. There's no point in doing it if you aren't here. But yeah, even more has come out. I mean, not only do you have Trump threatening people in full freak out mode, threatening people, and I mean literally threatening people. I mean, nobody's saying this. I mean, MAGA can't say, "Oh, well, you're setting Trump up." You know, no, that's not what's happening here, folks. This is Trump's own words. I mean, he put this out on his own failing social media platform. This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponents, who is leading them by a lot in the polls. This is AI. It's very dangerous for our country. Also, I'm reading the wrong one. I'm not reading the threat, so forgive me. Give me a second. Let me pull the other one up. They're both from True Social, so they look the same. But yeah, just so you can see, I'm not making this shit up. I mean, it's just, here you go. Trump goes back to this again. If network newscasts and their late night shows are almost 100% negative to the president, Donald J. Trump, MAGA, and the Republican Party, shouldn't their very valuable broadcast license be terminated? I say yes. Sounds like somebody in full panic mode to me. I mean, people that are having a good day don't threaten to pull the broadcast license of news organizations that are reporting shit about you. I mean, it's just, I mean, it doesn't really get more obvious. And it's like people just keep handing them shovels and they just keep digging, man. And they just keep digging. Tiger for everyone and only. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. Happy holiday to the potheads. Texas Paul and Mrs. Thank you for your time, energy, and educating us. You are precious and priceless. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Great to see so many new supporters. Great to see so many new supporters. It means that we're going to make it, folks. It means that we're going to make it. But yeah, I mean, not only is he threatening people, but he's just getting caught in lie after lie. And kudos to Midas. Midas just nailed this one. Just nailed this one. This is the one I was reading just a second ago. Look at the date on this. This is January 9th, 2024. We saw this. We talked about this on the show. This is when the pictures broke with Trump and Epstein on the plane. And Trump came out and said, no, that's fake. That's false. Your drunk MAGA uncle was telling you that's made up AI crap because of this, because Trump came out and said this. This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponent who is leading them by a lot in the polls. This is AI, and it is very dangerous for our country. Also, I was never on Epstein's plane or at his, quote, stupid island, stupid, unquote, island. Strong laws ought to be developed against AI, which now he's doing the opposite, but that's a whole nother story. It will be a big and very dangerous problem in the future. Yeah, the problem is that your own investigators, I mean, dude, it's your DOJ, man. It's your FBI. And I'm not going to keep reading to you. I know how tedious that can be, but, small print here. For your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. In particular, he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996, including at least 4 flights on which Maxwell was also present. Yada, yada, yada. You kind of get it. You kind of get it. I mean, the guy's just flat out busted lying. I mean, folks, this is just going to keep coming out and keep coming out and keep coming out. Just drip, 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 drip. Oh man, I hope your coffee's hitting as good as mine is today. But this is the one, this one's really gross. And I promise you, this is the last I'm going to read to you. But this one is just really, 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 really freaking gross. And again, this is one that's not getting much play, but it should. There's so many of these documents that are coming out. I think they're trying to be careful about how, they don't want to fill the space. They want to make sure that, you can take each one of these in and process it. But this is just gross. It starts out, and this is from 2020. This is an interview on 2020 done by the FBI. It says blank provided the following information. Blank met Lisa Villanueva at a hospital where they were roommates in 2000. So blank, whoever's redacted here, was in the hospital with Lisa Villanueva in 2000. Villanueva now goes by Ghislaine Lisa Villanueva and sells real estate in Irvine, California. After blank and Villanueva left the hospital, they remained friends. Later that year in 2000, around Christmas time, Villanueva invited blank to a party on Palm Beach Island, Florida. Blank believes the house belonged, and don't ever feel bad about typos and shit because this is from the FBI and it is this grammatically incorrect. Blank believes the house belonged to Epstein. Before the part, Villanueva took blank to meet Bobby Cox. Cox was a young man and introduced himself as a model scout. Villanueva laughed in response to Cox's introduction and said, "No, you're a pimp." Villanueva, Cox, and blank then went to the party. They entered the property through the backyard, and Villanueva, by the way, ladies, if you're ever taken, you're supposed to be going to a party and the people you're with bring you in the back door, you're not a guest, you're part of the buffet. If you're not walking in the front door, you're not a guest. You're part of the buffet. Okay? Just so we're clear on this. Oh my God. All right. Let me find my spot again. They entered the property through the backyard, and Villanueva said she would go inside to speak with the hostess, which blank believes was Ghislaine Maxwell. When Villanueva took blank inside, Villanueva told blank to stay close and not to go in any of the rooms. Villanueva took blank to meet a man named Kurt Schmidt, who is currently the CEO of Blue Buffalo. When Villanueva and blank approached Schmidt, he asked Villanueva if blank was cool. Blank stated she was cool. Villanueva said, no, he means cool to have sex. Schmidt said, no, he meant cocaine. Villanueva took blank back inside, and someone told the party that Donald Trump had invited them all to a party at Mar-a-Lago. Blank told Villanueva she wanted to go, but Villanueva told blank it wasn't that kind of party, it was for prostitutes. Blank hasn't spoken to Villanueva since 2002. This is Ghislaine Lisa Villanueva. She's a real estate agent out in Irvine, California. And this is Kurt Schmidt. One second. Grumpy Moose says they will claim it's all fake, maybe even add fake files so they can say, see, all fake. Hope everyone has a great holiday with friends and family. Yeah, I don't trust these people any farther than you can throw them. That's why I say take your time with this, folks. Don't be in a rush. You'll notice none of my social media, I haven't touched any of these documents. This is the first I've spoken about them. Right now is the first I've spoken about them. We need to take our time with these. Casey, EKG. I think we've got a medical professional in the house. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, home of Les Wexner. Ooh, gross. And married in New York City. We've known about these horrible, shady people for decades, thoroughly enjoying the self-inflicted implosion. They managed to rally millions who love to dig deep and report BS. Yeah, they did it to themselves. He ran on this. George Allen, thank you for always being here, brother. He ran on this. Got to release this stuff, man. Got to release it. Victorian Speakeasy, thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Texas Paul. You were the first person I saw when you were with Midas Touch. Please keep us apprised about this very important information. I was just having a conversation with Brett the other day over at Midas Touch. We've got to do some more work together. We really do. We both want to. It's just we keep getting busy. You know what I mean? We both want to. Oh, I need to. I need to do more. I love those guys. I really do. This is Kurt Schmidt, by the way. Kurt Schmidt really likes this photo. Yeah, he's on the board of Campbell's. At the time, up until about 2016, he was the CEO of Blue Buffalo, the pet food. now on the board of Campbell's. Also, this was just now the guy on the left here has nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with this at all that I know of. That's Steve Ball. He is completely nothing to do with this. It's the guy on the right, Kurt Schmidt. He likes that picture. He uses it over and over and over and over again. But yeah, he's just been named to the board of directors of Honest Kitchen as well. Now, why am I showing you his picture? And when, they're talking about, they're at Epstein's house doing cocaine. Here's the question. Do you think they were doing cocaine at Mar-a-Lago? And to me, why that's important is this. We're killing people. And when I say we, I mean we. Government of the people, for the people, by the people. We're killing people over cocaine. And here we have testimony that, hey, you know what? They're at parties in Palm Beach doing cocaine. Now, I don't know the right way to frame that. And I don't think I really have to. You've got testimony that bros are partying it up with cocaine, trying to give young girls cocaine at these parties. And they're partying at the president's place. Yet the president is killing people over cocaine. So as long as it's all white, well, we don't have to deport you. We don't have to arrest you. You can party it up. It's just, just partying is all it is. But you're murdering the brown people. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that's just going to keep coming out, and people are going to notice. I mean, that's all they talk about when you look at that on social media is that, yeah, they were talking about going to party at Mar-a-Lago, which is important. I agree. It's important. It's important. But the fact that they're doing cocaine with underage girls, and that this is this is a guy that was a CEO. He's on several boards. And again, not legally adjudicated here. This is not something that's gone through a trial. This is just testimony, is all it is. But it just seems kind of relevant to me that when we're killing people on one hand for being narco terrorists, for importing cocaine, it's kind of important to notice who they're importing it for. Because I promise you, it's not poor working people. Cocaine is not cheap. Cocaine is expensive. Maybe we need to look at the customers more than the importers. I don't know. Don Jr., maybe? I don't know. Maybe Don Jr.? Santisa 211, Texas Paul, it's time for someone to remove the stick that has stuck up Trump's asset. I tell you what, man, he is a mess. And I hate to give him this excuse. I do. I hate to give him this excuse, but this dude, that guy's brain is melting. And I know I shouldn't. I really shouldn't, because the more we call it out and the more we draw attention to it, then when this all finally blows up in his face, he can pull a Vinny the Chin and act like he's insane and not be held accountable. But shit, I mean, how accountable really is he? I think the people around him are more. I think Pam Bondi is more accountable. I think Donnie Dumbass is doing nothing but shitting in his own diaper and living in his own reality. Jordan T 3740, Merry Christmas, 3:38 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia in the house. Love it, man. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, mate. I mean, really, I hate to say that, because I want Trump nailed to the frickin' wall. I want his hide nailed to the frickin' wall. I do. But Is he? I don't think he's in his right mind. I'll be honest with you. I don't. I think it's the people around him. You know, Nixon didn't go to jail for shit, but his attorney general did. Forgive me. I'm sitting there slurping and snuffing and everything. You forgive me. But yeah, folks, this thing it is going to happen. It is going to keep happening. It's going to keep dripping and dripping and dripping and dripping. And I will tell you, I'm not going to be the first one on any of these documents. I'm not. I'm not. The journalists are going to have a field day with this. They are. It's going to be, you drop 1,000,000 documents in front of a journalist, and man, it's swing. I mean, this is what they live for. They will be tearing through these one right after the other, after the other, after the other. Ha ha. I can't afford cocaine either. I can't afford cocaine either. Damn it. No, it's just allergies. It's been crazy here. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing t-shirts. It's been warm outside here. I don't know what the weather's been like where you're at, but this climate change shit is weird. It's middle of December and I'm walking around in shorts, man. Vincent Day, thanks, Paul, and Merry Christmas. No, thank you, brother. Thank you for always being here. But yeah, folks, even when you move beyond the Epstein documents, it's one thing after another, because these people are so freaking incompetent. They are so incompetent. You remember the warrior dividend? We talked about that in the last show. The warrior dividend, we found out it came from the base housing allowance. Get this. Trump wanted this because he's in deep shit. He knows it. And they always do the rah patriot shit. So okay, we're gonna give all the military people bonuses. Then he took the money out of their base housing allowance to do it. Congress didn't pass shit for bonuses. They didn't appropriate anything. They took their own money away from them, called it a bonus, and then handed it to them. I just had a conversation right before the show with someone that knows the IRS inside and out. I mean, completely inside and out. And yeah, sorry, military folks, I've got bad news for you. Your base housing allowance isn't taxable. The way that the law is written, it's not considered income. You're not taxed on it. But when Trump took your base housing money away and he gave you a bonus, that's taxable income. Congratulations. You now owe taxes on that $1,776 bonus. But it gets worse. I wish that was the end of it. Richard Lawton, thank you for always being here, Rich. I really appreciate you. Merry Christmas and peace on earth to everyone. Y'all are such wonderful people. Instead of just saying, you know what, we're going to crank up your base housing allowance by $1,800, man. No, Trump wanted his name on it. Trump wanted his name on it. Because if they'd have just boosted their base housing allowance by $1,800, run it through Congress, really allotted the money, yeah, you could have done that, and it would have been non-taxable. You could have even passed the legislation that said the guys living in the barracks will get a base housing allowance because of whatever reason. You've got the pen. You can write the legislation any way you want. But no, Trump wanted to put his name on it. So not only is it a bonus counted as income, but if you're an E2, a married E2, you're probably on some form of assistance because we just don't pay our soldiers enough. We don't. We don't pay our soldiers enough to have families. Until you're about an E5 or an E6, families are something you just cannot afford. So most of our soldiers are on some form of assistance. Guess what that $1,776 bonus does for a whole lot of military families? Yeah, it disqualifies them for the assistance they need. So they're going to lose their SNAP. They're going to lose their benefits. Then they're also going to have to pay taxes on that $1,776. So Trump can put his name on a check. I don't know how many times we got to say it, but it is what it is. MAGA, useless as taste buds on an asshole. And we are not the same. We are not the same. You remember the Republicans killing the border bill just so that they could have it to run on? Yeah, Democrats don't do that. If the Trump administration said, "Look, I want to win, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase base housing allowances by $1,800 per soldier," Democrats would be marching along. They would have passed that bill because it helped out the soldiers. Because they know our soldiers are underpaid. We are not the same. We are not the same. Abdullah Surah 3217. Why was Tom Artyom Alexandrovich allowed to return home after being arrested in the U.S. for child predation? If you don't know who that is a Russian official that was busted in Utah, I believe, if I remember correctly, for and I don't remember the details of the charge off the top of my head. It's been a while since I read about it. Somebody in the audience will be able to tell us exactly what he was charged with. But yeah, I believe it was child pornography that he was busted for, child sexual abuse material, and he was allowed to fly home. Just for no particular reason, just allowed to fly home. Now they can't touch him. But yeah, that's not the end of it. Trump's even having a. I mean, the wheels are coming off for the Trump administration. Everybody has seen this. Everybody has seen this. Everybody has seen that Trump is old. He's coming apart. They tried to do rallies and it was a disaster. Every Republican out there saying, shit, we got to make plans, man. We've got to make plans. They're going to kill us in the midterms. They are going to absolutely destroy us in the midterms. What are we going to do? Well, I tell you what the Supreme Court did. See, the Supreme Court's been playing this game where they don't rule on things in a way that will actually set precedent. They've been issuing technicality rulings that have the same effect of letting the Trump administration have their way without them actually having to write out a decision that actually establishes precedent. Well, they did the same thing again, except they ruled on a technicality, but they did it because they know 2028, they're likely looking at a Democratic president. Do we want to give a Democratic president the ability to violate the Posse Comitatus Act? Because this is exactly what just happened. Have I watched Landman? Subtle trolling of Donald J. Trump. Yeah, they're kind of backing off a little bit, aren't they? They are. They're kind of backing off a little bit. Old Tyler Sheridan couldn't suck enough Trump nuts there for a long time, and then now it's like, nobody wants to go down on this on the ship with him. But yeah, the Supreme Court's nuts dropped and they did this. They said no National Guard troops. Well, J.B. Pritzker in Illinois sued and said, you can't be sending troops to Chicago. Not going to happen. Don't want them. Can't have them. Violates the Posse Comitatus Act. And the Trump administration said, no, we can too, just because it's national security. And the Supreme Court took a look at the future and said, 2028, do we really want somebody like, I don't know, Gavin Newsom or J.B. Pritzker or any of a dozen other people that could probably destroy the next Republican candidate, no matter who it is, probably the couch fucker? They said, do we really want a Democrat being able to violate the Posse Comitatus Act? And they said, let's go ahead and make one of those technicality rulings. And they said, at this stage in the litigation, again, notice the way they word that, at this stage in the litigation, the court said the Trump administration had not shown that the statute at issue, quote, permits the president to federalize the Guard in the exercise of inherent authority to protect federal personnel and property in Illinois, unquote. And they went on to say that they didn't meet the standards in the Posse Comitatus Act. Didn't say he couldn't do it. It's just said you didn't make a good enough excuse. They've issued ruling after ruling after ruling like that. Amy Coney Barrett came out and said the quiet part out loud in an interview a few months ago, talking about, she flat out said, none of this shit is supposed to establish precedent. We consider all of these issues to still be ongoing, unsettled issues. Translation, we're not going to rule for a Democrat on this. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But yeah, the Posse Comitatus Act is really clear, folks. It says, Congress has to make a declaration, or this has to be something completely clear within the Constitution for the president to be allowed to federalize troops and to send federal troops to utilize troops as law enforcement. And they have made no arguments before the Supreme Court that said, well, this is why we're doing this. Carol, P3D4T, thank you for supporting the show. I'm truly grateful. Thank you for being here. Warbin3 says, Paul, I love that mug. It reminds me of what a friend would say, useless as tits on a bull. Yep. Merry Christmas to you and Mrs. Texas and Mrs. and your staff. Thank you. I appreciate you. I am truly grateful. But yeah, folks, it's testimony that the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. The Supreme Court, you've got more people that are announcing their resignations, and it's because they can do math. They get it. They see what's happening. You're getting it done. Your participation, you're getting out there and motivating people and working with candidates, and you're getting it done, and they can see where the motivation is. They can see where the momentum is. They can see what's going on, and they can also do math. The GDP numbers came out, and this should be 100% a win for the Trump administration. It should. GDP grew more than expected, 4.6%. This should be a win, but the problem is why it grew. Why it grew. It grew because exports took off. Hello there, 8243 says, Merry Christmas and keep up the good fight. Absolutely. I'm in it to win it. Martha Stiegel, Merry Christmas, Texas Paul, and Mrs. Texas Martha. Thank you for always being here, and thank you for the lovely emails. You're too kind. You really are. You're too kind. But this is why, folks. This is what's happened to the dollar. This is the dollar over the last year. Pretty self-explanatory. When the dollar gets cheap, exports take off because it's cheap to buy shit here. And that's the problem with the GDP growth that we've had, is what has grown and why. JDJ 1898 Jade, thank you for being here. Merry Christmas, Texas Paul, Mr. Merry Christmas to you too. Merry Christmas to you too. It's what grew and why is the problem. These are, you're talking about non-monetary gold ore, basically, essentially not fully processed gold, took off. Why? Because the dollar is falling. Gold is cheap. It's a bargain right now. You can buy it from us cheaper than you can get it elsewhere. So countries like Sweden and this guy are making out like bandits. Problem is, that doesn't drive our economy. It's great for China and all the manufacturing they're doing. Manufacturing nations are buying from us. But yeah, pharmaceutical preparations, that's your fully mixed pharmaceuticals. We do a lot of high-end pharmaceuticals in this country. The dollar got cheaper, exports on pharmaceuticals take off. Aircraft was another one. Aircraft was another reason. But it didn't take off just because of the weakening dollar. It didn't take off because the economy's picking up. It didn't take off because of good monetary policy. It took off for two reasons. One, the dollar's plummeting. And Airbus ran into a boatload of problems. So people that were looking to cancel those Boeing orders because of all the problems Boeing has had to rethink that. And they had to go ahead and take delivery on those planes as fast as they could because Airbus is having huge software issues. Turns out they cut corners on some of the electronics they put in the A320s. And they've had to instigate massive recalls, which is just kills an airline. When you've got to take a plane out of service for a recall, that is devastating. Bartender's daughter, thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. I am glad you're here. Thank you. Santista 211, thank you for always being here. Regular supporter of the show. I'm truly grateful. Hey, Texas Paul, you should change your name to Santa Paul with a nearly full beard. Yeah, I made it, folks. I made it. My granddaughter's here. They just got here. I heard them come in a little bit ago. Got the beard in by Christmas. It's going to be gone ASAP, though. This thing's driving me up the wall. But yeah, it is. I mean, the other one, LNG, liquefied natural gas. That's not sustainable, folks. That isn't sustainable. Yeah, it's driving our GDP. It is. It's an export. But Europe buying tons and tons of our liquefied natural gas, even with the falling dollar, is not sustainable because LNG prices are skyrocketing globally. So yeah, they're going to be funneled into buying from us because of the weaker dollar, but it is going to cause your heating bills, your electric bills to skyrocket here because we have so many natural gas plants. Agent Cajun John, thank you for being here. Merry Christmas to you, sir. Merry Christmas to you also, sir. Thank you for always being here. So on top of LNG exports taking off, driving up the price of natural gas, Trump did this. They just did this yesterday. They halted 5 more wind farms. Folks, we're not generating enough electricity, period. We're just not. We need it from every source. Renewables, we need it from every source. This conversion to a digital economy, this, with all the data centers and AI, we just don't generate enough electricity. We're literally choking our own economy on electric bills, and it's devastating your average American. Just devastating your average American. I mean, who could afford to see their electric bills double? Nobody. Nobody could afford it. David Georgina, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. Folks, and this is the worst part. When I was going through this and I was looking at, okay, what's driving the GDP growth? I mean, this article hit me right in the face. They really wrote this. They wrote this down and they believe this. This is out of Fortune magazine. This is what the Broligarchs are thinking and saying. Why 4.3 GDP growth proves, and it was 4.6, by the way, proves the vibecession theory is historically wrong. You know what they mean by that? What they mean by vibecession? You're not digging this economy. Your grocery bills keep, and they specifically mention this in this article. Your grocery bills make you feel like shit. Your rising utility bills make you feel like shit. You're not benefiting from this economy, so you're not digging it. The whole point of that article, and I shit you not when I say this, go read it. That's why I showed you the headline. Go read that article. The billionaire broligarchs that Forbes represents saying, see, it don't matter if the average American is screwed. It doesn't matter if it's, pardon my language, fucking you over. It doesn't matter. We can make money anyways. This proves it. Screw the average American. What does it matter if their expenses are going through the roof and their income's not keeping up with it? We're making money anyways. That is literally what that article said. Go read it. You know what I thought of when I read that article? Just the supreme arrogance of we can make money even though you're screwed theme in that entire article. Oregon wine lady. Hey, Texas Paul, Mrs. Texas Paul, here's a little extra for what I usually give. A blessing came my way and I'm passing it on. Well, thank you. You're too kind. You are too kind. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this awesome community. Thank you for being here. I'm telling you, this is what it's about. It's about building the community and keeping it growing. We've got an election coming up. We've got to grow before the next election. Veggie Owl, $80 of my electric and gas bill is delivering fees. Yes, they're killing people. I mean, if it's not just transmission rates going up, which they're all filing for increases in transmission rates, they're slapping fees on top of it. And in states like Texas that are run by Republicans don't regulate that shit. They don't give a damn. They don't care that you're being killed by fees. They're not doing anything about it. But hey, the broligarchs think, yes, screw it. We just proved it. GDP went up. Dollar went down. So all your imports got more expensive. Everything you want to buy gets more expensive. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. We can make money anyways. Jordan T, 3740. Around 30% of Australian homes have rooftop solar. I'm telling you, I wish we were there. I wish we were there, man. I really do wish we were there. But you know what I thought of? What really came to mind? I have heard that sentiment before. And if I could sum that article up in one sentence, let them eat cake. This is what came to mind. The last time the wealthy class was that brazen and that arrogant about they don't give a shit what is happening to you because they can still make their money, It was the French Revolution. It was the French Revolution. I mean, I couldn't believe the arrogance when I was reading this. They were pointing out, yeah, sure, houses are way expensive, groceries are way expensive, but hey, good news. We're still making our money, and literally summed up that article with, there's no such thing as a vibe session. Just because you're getting screwed doesn't mean we're in a recession. We can still keep making things more expensive, and you'll go into debt. You'll do whatever you have to do. We did get a little bit of news that I don't wish this on anybody. I disagree with Ben Sass about as much as anybody can. I am a liberal. I am a leftist. I am a Democrat. And Ben Sass is none of those things. He is on the opposite end of the political spectrum, but I wish this on nobody. This is a horrible way to go, folks. This is a horrible way to go. He's got stage 4 pancreatic cancer that has metastasized. And if you don't know what metastasize means, it means it's already spread. It means it's already spread, which means it's probably in his liver. And since it's part of that system, his body's riddled with cancer. It has like a 10 to 13% survival rate. But when it's as far gone as Ben Sass's cancer is when they catch it, he's just come out and put a statement that said, look, I'm done. It's over. So wish him and his family strength. I know we don't agree with him. I know he's on the opposite end of the aisle, and I know he's helped cause a lot of this shit that's led us to where we are. But I don't hate the man. I don't. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, including my worst enemy. And while we're talking about bad news, I really wish I hadn't been right about this. Zelensky's put forward his 20-point peace plan. And it's basically what I told you was going to happen. And again, this is the plan coming out of Zelensky. This isn't coming out of Trump. This isn't coming out of Moscow. So no, this isn't. It doesn't get better from here. When you break down the peace plan, it is essentially land for peace. Break down the major points, and everything you see in red here, they're going to consider Russia from now on. And the area you see in yellow there, that's Western Donetsk, their demand is that become a demilitarized zone. Let that sink in for a second. But that is the peace proposal that Zelensky has formally made to Russia. It also includes a couple pills in there that might keep this happening. Zelensky's one of two things here. He's either done or he is crazy like a fox. And let me explain to you what I mean. The deal that they made is they're trying to make, I should say. The proposal that they've made is a thumb in the eye to Europe. It is. I've told you that while Europe has been strong supporters of Ukraine, they've got their Broligarch class just like we do here in the United States. And there's been support to survive, but not support to win. Not out of the United States, not out of Europe. Everybody that is in power, all of the oligarchs, the Republicans, the right wingers in Europe, have all wanted this to drag out. They just do. And Ukraine's tired. I mean, it's been years of war. They are fighting bravely today. And they are really doing a lot, man. I mean, they have absolutely fought off the Russians. They have. But they're being betrayed by us. And they're not getting the support they need. So the proposals that they put forward are, yes, Eastern Ukraine becomes Russia, a demilitarized zone, and then a couple other things like the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Ukraine says they will not be tied to Russia for energy going forward. These are the security demands that they're demanding going forward. The Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, which is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, is going to be divided up if they go forward with this plan. It's going to be divided. Ownership will be divided up between Russia, the United States, and Ukraine. And Ukraine will not buy electricity from Russia, which is, to me, mind-blowing, but they say they can make it work. And this is where I'm saying I think he's maybe crazy like a fox here, because you notice I didn't say divided up and partially owned by Europe or the European Union or any country in Europe other than Ukraine. It said the United States, Russia, and Ukraine would divide it up. Not the only thing that's getting divided up. It also involves mineral guarantees to the United States. Again, this peace plan doesn't say anything about mineral rights for Europe. Security guarantees in the form of, for Ukraine to accept this peace plan, the EU has to accept them in membership. They have to have a firm date for which they become a member of the European Union, and European troops end up in Ukraine as part of a peacekeeping mission in the demilitarized zone. Not Russian troops, not Ukrainian troops, European troops end up on the ground in Ukraine, which is going to be a huge sticking point for Russia because they are in full freak-out mode about NATO troops on their border, which they already have in Finland, but it's one of the sticking points in negotiation. The other thing is they have to get passed by Congress security guarantees and support, military support from us, the United States. That's where the minerals come in, and that's where this comes in. This is the final part. Again, this is happening, folks. This is already happening. BlackRock is on the ground in this. BlackRock has been brought in to these peace negotiations. If you don't know who BlackRock is, they are the largest private equity. They are the largest investment firm, I believe, in the world right now. They are as powerful as it gets. And part of the guarantees that Ukraine is getting is BlackRock establishes an $800 billion fund. $800 billion. It will be more than one fund. I'm Cliff's noting this, folks. It will be several funds that total roughly $800 billion in economic development for Ukraine. Again, another thumb in the eye to Europe. Notice that none of that says anything about Europe comes in and makes money. Europe comes in and gets minerals. No, Europe just provides troops. So I'm looking at this two ways. One, with BlackRock being on board, that is a lot of global political pressure to make this happen. I've said this before over and over again. When we talked about Henry Ford and GM and during World War II, the Opel Lightning, the truck that made Blitzkrieg possible, that carried troops for the Germans, was made by General Motors Corporation. And that war is old men talking and young men dying. I've said that over and over and over again. It appears as though the old men are saying it's time for business. War needs to stop. And with entities like BlackRock on the ground in these negotiations, that is a lot of power and a lot of pressure to bring Russia to the table. There's a lot of business opportunity for Russia on the other side of this peace. So on one hand, it looks plausible, but on the other, I just have this sneaking suspicion that this is Volodymyr Zelensky being crazy like a fox. Because it is such a thumb in the eye to Europe that this, to me, reads like a wake-up call to the European oligarchs to say, look, appreciate the help, but you haven't done enough to help us win. And we're Europe. You've kind of left me out there to fight this on my own. Either you get real motivated or I'm going to make this deal. And it's not a joke anymore. This is literally Zelensky saying, this is my proposal. We're going to see in the next day or two, before the end of the year, if Europe catches this wake-up call, or this just ends up being a boon for us here in the United States. But yeah, it's going to end up being land for peace. And I was afraid that was going to happen. I was afraid that was going to happen. I am truly hoping. So many Ukrainians have already died. There's been so much tragedy. And I'll be honest with you, I don't give a fuck how many Russians died. I don't. They did this shit. They started this shit. They deserved every bit of what they got. But if Volodymyr Zelensky can wake Europe up into realizing that this is a land war in Europe already, I hope it works out. I do. I hope it works out. But that's where we are, and we're going to watch it. We're going to keep watching it. I know. I know. I mean, I don't want Zelensky and the Ukrainians to have to give up land. I don't. Because to me, if you read a history book anywhere, that means that we're not going to have peace. Anytime something like this happens, it's just leads to a break, a pause, and then war starts all over again after everybody catches their breath. It does not feel like a long-term solution to me. But we will see. And I don't think anybody in the EU, and I don't think anybody in the United States, I don't think anybody in Europe can criticize. because basically we've left the Ukrainians out there by themselves to fight this. And whatever they decide that they can do, we need to accept that and wish them the best. Juicebox 2159 is America is the bad guy now. I wish I could argue with that. Carl Rossi, maybe that land is so Russian occupied, it just isn't worth the trouble. That's kind of the thinking. And you've got a lot of ethnic Russians that live there. That's the argument that's being made. I'm backing crazy. Jordan T says 3740 says I'm backing crazy like a fox. That's what I'm hoping for too. I hope that Europe wakes up and just drives Russia the fuck out of Ukraine, because I've never seen, I don't know, maybe y'all are incredibly smart people. Is there an example in history where making that deal pays? Where it works out? I don't know. To me, it just seems like all you're doing is encouraging Putin to do this again, this time in Moldova or Lithuania or Estonia or Latvia. I don't know. I wish I had good news for you on that front, but it is what it is, and we're going to keep track of it. Folks, thank you for spending your Christmas Eve with me. I really enjoy our time together. I got to say, reading this stuff, it's rough, man. It takes a toll on you, just constantly keeping track of all this. Wears your ass out. It does. But just being able to spend time with you, y'all recharge my batteries. Y'all let me know it's going to be okay. And I hope that that's what you take from this show. Sure, over the next couple of years, things are going to happen that we're not going to like. But we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. We're going to get the Epstein documents out. We're going to expose who these rich, sick bastards are that are diddling these girls, these young underage kids. We're going to do it. We're going to win in the midterms. We're very likely going to have a Democratic president in 2028. I would bet my hat on it that we are. But between here and there, there's going to be a lot of fights. And the fact that we're in it together, that you folks are the people I'm fighting with, gives me confidence and gives me hope, is what I'm trying to say. On that note, enjoy some Texas cities at night.